So welcome back to Rough Restos for another episode on the L322. It's becoming a theme now, isn't it, really? Why don't I just buy normal cars? Anyway, I've got a slight problem, and that's that I own a Jaguar Land Rover product. Well, actually, 3 of them, plus one that I own back there as well. You know what that means? One thing. Rust. It's inherent. It comes in the name. Land Rover they come with rust. Now this is what's this now? A 12-year-old luxury car, costing around £70,000 back then. So probably with inflation, probably closer to 100 now. And yet, they still rust like anything. For such a luxury vehicle, they couldn't be asked to use good quality steel, good paint, or put any real kind of protection on it. It's a bit of a letdown, really. I guess they expect you to sort of change up every 5 years, and these kind of things, they don't care when they fall into the hands of people like myself who buy them cheap and do work on them. But either way, this one's had a bit of corrosion. I think it's seen a bit, well, it's done a lot of miles, 196 odd thousand now in that time, and I think it's probably seen a lot of salt roads and such, and it's been well maintained, but maybe not looked after underneath as well as it could have been. So, we've got this problem to solve. Now, I could just leave it. As far as I'm aware currently, it's not inherently bad, but if we do leave it, X amount of years down the line, it's going to be an issue. And after buying that first L322, which ended up to be really bad, I don't want to go there. And whoever owns this vehicle one day eventually after I do, I want it to be solved with them as well. So, to do that, we need to sort this rust out. How are we going to do that? Well, a couple of things. Number one, I went and splashed out and I went to Buzzweld. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about Buzzweld. I know he's actually an L322 owner, and he's quite, what do you call it, active on some of the L322 Facebook pages and forums. And another person, I forgot his name now to be honest, recommended this product, also an L322 owner, there's a theme here. And I thought I'd try it. So this product from Buzzweld is called Chassis in One. It's essentially a multi-purpose product where it's a primer and a top coat in one, but it's a high in zinc content paint where essentially you can put it onto solid, stable rust, and over time it will neutralise the rust for, it's rated at about 10 years, well up to 10 years, which is quite impressive. Whether it will do, I'm not sure. I guess that depends a lot on prep work, application, and how the car lives and is looked after application. So we're not expecting 10 years out of it, but I'm excited to try it. Now I should only need probably about 1 litre of this, but seeing as I own all these other Jaguar Land Rover products, and I've got another one back there to restore, and I've got 2 other classic cars, I thought I'd best be safe and buy 5 litres. So let's just get some details on this in a minute, because I can't remember off the top of my head. So I'm going to read them out now, because I can't remember all them. So basically, it contains a self-leafing glass flake for extreme abrasion resistance compared to standard coatings. Okay, so it's got some glass flake in there, which makes the paint tougher. That sounds like a good thing. Double acting on rust. The only coating in the world that they're aware of is both rust stabilising and high in zinc content. Now I know rust stabilising is exactly what we want. I know high in zinc products are also exceptionally good at corrosion inhibiting resistance, however you call it, either way. So that's good. What else does it do? Works kind of like standard paint really, overcoatable in half an hour, so that's excellent. And yeah, dries to a satin matte finish, perfect for like OEM suspension components and all that, which is ideal. Suitable to be overpainted with most products, which is, well, we're probably not going to be doing it, but really handy if you want to use it as a base or primer and paint over top of a decent 2K product. That's ideal. That's about it really. So yeah, I'm excited to try that out. I've used previous other things like POR15 and actually not been very impressed, especially not for the price of it. Now that 5 litre tin there, I think was about 130 quid. I can't remember if that was with VAT or without VAT. But it's not very bad. That's the same sort of price as standard 2K paint. Whereas the POR15, which is probably like a big competitor for that product, what's that, like 40 quid for a not even a half a litre tin, which is mental, especially considering we'll show you in a minute where I've used it on this car and I'm very under-impressed with it. So that's how we're going to treat the rust after using conventional methods of, cleaning it up, wire brushes, sand, all the usual stuff, sandblaster maybe. What we're going to do after that, so we can't paint everything, and the paint itself is a good layer of protection, but we can put more on it. This is where I was quite excited to try another product that's been around in the market. Now, a huge thanks to Alistair at Lanocare, because he's actually sent me these products out to try, which is extremely nice of him, and I'm really excited to try them. So this is the Lanocare LS20, and it's a lanolin based product. Obviously there's a few other companies that probably got higher marketing budgets at the moment, advertising everywhere, and they're all similar products with slight different variations of the mixture, and they're tailored obviously to each company. So one thing that Lanocare do brag about is this product is more sustainable than a lot of the competitors. It doesn't use any crude oil based solvents, so I guess that's a win if you're sustainable. Well, I'm not sure a Range Rover really speaks sustainability, but other than the fact that maybe keeping an old one going, that's more sustainable than buying a new car, I guess. So that's good. And also, unlike some competitors, this product does actually set to a hard, waxy finish. So it doesn't stay wet and won't attract dirt. It's pretty typical lifetime on this sort of product, where they expect around about a 12-month recoating period. Now, again, that entirely depends on the environment. If you're dunking your car into salt water to drop a boat off, you're going to want to use this a lot more often. If you're driving around London, you're not going to need to use it much. Countryside, a bit more, So I'm going to be probably looking at maybe 2 coats a year to be safe, 1 coat once I've got a good few coats down on it. But I'm very excited to use that. Now they've also sent me this kit. This is the 2.5 litre kit. The LG40 anti-corrosion grease. Same stuff, but this is used where you can sort of finger it in around bolts, put it in bolts that are being used, and stop water and stuff getting into areas it shouldn't do. So you can paint this on with a paintbrush, you can use your finger to apply it, you can warm it up to thin it down, you can put it in the freezer to make it thicker if you want to. Not that you want to do that, but you can do that. Yeah, so that's going to be quite an exciting one to try out as well on a lot of these submarine bolts. And then pretty handily, they also give you this fairly generic sprayer, which I think a lot of companies kind of use something along these lines. And it's just a little trigger sprayer to pump it on. Makes application really quick, easy, and conventional for anyone to use it. I will try that, but I don't plan on using it on this project because we're going to be using so much of it. Instead, I bought the Buzzweld like shuts gun. I think it's an adjustable one, which comes with a free empty stubby shuts can. So we'll be putting a product into here and spraying it on with this gun because that will be much quicker. And it will save my fingers no end. So we've got the Buzzweld chassis in one to protect the metal, and we've got the Lanocare to give us our overall protection on top of the paint, ram it in around all the nuts and bolts, spray it all over the chassis. That'll go over all the springs, all the suspension. Well, there's no springs on this car, but over all the kind of more moving parts, and it will really seep in and get in, seal off all just the little vulnerable areas really, whilst providing an additional layer of protection on top. So I'm pretty excited. I've not tried any lanolin products before. It is basically just almost like a waxy grease they get off of sheep's wool, combined with other greases and such to make this quite solidy, waxy, translucent, hard drying film, which does no end of protection. So, and of course you can use it on more than your Range Rover. You can use it on tools, you can use it on basically anything really. It's not really damaging to any plastics or any materials. You wouldn't want to put it on your bumper, but you could do. So anyway, I'm wrapping it on now. Really excited to try that product, which we'll be applying once we've done the rust cleaning up and treatment stages. And yeah, really thankful to Alistair for supplying that so I can try it out. So, now the daunting part. Currently, I don't know the severity of the rust on this car other than what I've seen just doing other service bits on the car. In a second, we're both going to see it stripped down for the first time. So, up in the air, what I've done is I've gone around, scraped off any more mud I could find. You can see we've just got an awful lot of surface corrosion here. A lot of it's no more than surface corrosion, but heavy surface corrosion, but even to the body. So I could leave it, but it would be quite reckless on a car I want to keep or want to pass on, say around here and that. Now, this isn't anything too unusual for a Land Rover. It's probably a bit above the average actually corrosion for one of these vehicles this age, but remember I did get the vehicle very cheap and it is high mileage. That's where I did clean it up prior and put some PR15 on it, but it didn't bond. This rear towing frame, I spent ages taking it back with a wire wheel to not perfect clear metal because it needs some rust to bond to. Cleaned it all up, and it's still, there's signs of corrosion coming back through ever so slightly on this as well, which is really annoying because I wasn't quite keen with doing that. Done it all proper, sprayed it all nicely, and it just hasn't lasted. So for really expensive paint, it disappointed me. But as you can see in general here, I did cover it in some PR15 didn't work. So yeah, we've got, I can see corrosion up from the body up there. Again, it's only surface, but it's kind of surface that's been getting progressively worse, and it needs treating. Like even heat shields. So again here, it's just surface, but the only undersill, that part chassis roll. It just makes no sense. So same, I took the guards off the front subframe, and same sort of thing again, just bits of surface corrosion. So I don't like that. It's not my style. I want it all cleaned up, proper. Again, behind there as well, but so it all needs doing. These steps, they still have a Land Rover sticker on them, so I don't know how old they are, but again, they need cleaning up and treating. Joys. So I'm going to go around now, still with the airline, and keep blowing off corrosion, keep blowing off dust, dirt, water and whatnot. I've already pressure washed the underside with what I could do outside. So I'm going to keep going and cleaning now with the air blower, anything I couldn't get to before. And then I guess after that, to be fair, you guys will see me then with a load of parts stripped off this car, ready for what we can do rust treatment wise next. Yeah, even like behind here, it's just surface rust everywhere. Why is the body that badly protected on such an expensive car? So up here and that, where it's like this and that, most of that will get cleaned up, and all it needs is a coat of lanolin. So my least favourite job, the rust treatment and removal. Right, this is what we're faced with after removing all sorts of covers and shields and that. Just surface corrosion everywhere, quite heavy. This here is really common, like every L322's got that. Now, luckily, this is actually the last part of the whole car to do. Not sure if you can tell, but well, actually I haven't finished off the rear subframe. So I'll save this part for last for the video. I'm knackered, it's already like 9:30 at night, and this is just doing my head in. But what I've been using, my number one tool here, is my long stroke chisel and a needle scaler. I've already broke one of these doing this. That's been absolutely fantastic because it chips off all the loose rust and scale and that, chips off the paint. Now you may be wondering, why is it so bad? Well, it's actually solid, believe it or not. It is solid, but there's just a horrific amount of surface corrosion. Now, I think there's two factors to this. One, it's potentially been near salt before, or something along those lines. Two, the protection Land Rover put on here appears to be absolutely horrific. Actually, an absolute joke, to be honest, for a £70,000 car. The factory paint just scrapes it off. Behind the paint, behind the seam sealer and all that stuff, I'm finding rust. It's basically rusting from the inside out. Now, I can only imagine that somewhere along the lines, when they've been doing their shells, once they made them, before they protected them, potentially they may be either getting poorly prepped, they're getting corroded, something like that, and that's just obviously creating all these issues from the inside out, which is a joke on a £70,000 vehicle. Hence the actual scale of this. I've done going through from the middle isn't too bad. Front subframes need a lot of work, rear subframes need a lot of work, and this rear end, it looks bad. It's partly because most it's just orange dust at the moment, but it is all absolutely solid. It's just along the chassis rails here. So heavy amount of corrosion. The seam sealer, they only put protection on half the rail, so obviously the half that's not protected gets corroded, and the protection they do put on it is so weak you can actually just peel it off. It's dreadful. It's just beyond bad. One of the tanks have come for rust. I need to replace that one. It's just everywhere. It's just a bit of surface corrosion. So I ended up pulling down all the heat shields, the tank guards, not to get into access everywhere. Now normally, if you put your head under an L322, you can't see most of this. Because all the shields, the guards, the subframe and that, you can't actually see very much at all. And it's not until you actually take the whole car apart and start finding it all. So front subframe again, and like all the hubs and all that stuff. It's all needed needle scaling to bring it back to something solid. So it's turned into a much bigger job than I anticipated, which is really annoying. So I can't feel my hands now the amount of hours I spent on my needle scaler. Probably between the two jobs so far, I must have spent 6 hours, 7, 8 hours just using a needle scaler, easy. So I'm going to scale all this back a minute. Obviously can't get it in behind this lip, so behind that lip I'll use a wire brush and whatnot else. Basically need to get off all the flaky material, wire brush off as much of the other surface rust that's not already taken off by the needle scaler, and then clean up the surface to degrease, ready for treatment. So I'm going to crack on that a minute now, finish this part, and then I'm going to have to start wire brushing now the entire car before I can then think about cleaning it off, degreasing it, and then applying the product, which will be 2 to 3 coats. So, but I did, sorry I'm rambling on now, apply a test patch over here the other day, and then I went at it, and I've sort of gone at it with tools, and the paint, even after only a few hours, well, after about 8 hours I think it was, or 13 hours, it was much better than the factory paint, just off of, it already bonded and it was much better protection than the factory. So that's a good sign. So hopefully it's going to work out, but I've got an awful lot of that paint to do, an awful lot, because this whole thing, the whole subframe's also getting done, and every arm and whatnot, so that's a huge job. See, it's gone from this flaky corrosion and flaky metal over to just sort of not clean but solid steel, something for that special paint to bond to. So that's essentially what I've done everywhere, to a rather large extent. So I'm going to stop rambling on, I'm going to crack on because it's getting late and I want to get this done. So as you can see, it actually technically looks worse now. But that's not as better. So, well, realistically, without sandblasting, it's basically impossible to get rid of all this rust anyway. I could put a grinder on it and keep going and try and get rid of as much as possible. But to be fair, it won't make any difference, because unless we can get rid of 100% of it, then we've still got some. So the best thing to do is to make it sound, get rid of anything loose, any dirt. As long as we've got a sound bit of metal with a bit of rust on it, using the correct paints and treatments, we can protect it and seal it. And if no oxygen can get to the rust will stop essentially. So we can neutralise it. But if we were to sort of wire brush this and get rid of 98% of it, and then put normal products back on top of it, the rust would form back behind it again, and it would be no good again. So the best thing we can do is use the products that require a smidge of rust to bite into, and that's the best bet. So it now looks a bit worse, but it's good because we removed all the flaky stuff and dived back into where there's a little patch. See, this was all like, oh, actually I missed a bit there. Great. Okay, I'll best do that in a minute. It's rusting behind the seam sealer. It's got to be a factory issue. It's like they've made a shell, we'll put it out in the rain for a few days, and then we'll whack some epoxy primer with no prep, smidge some the thinnest layer of the crappiest paint possible, and then brush a bit of seam sealer over top of the rust. Great. Idiots. What are you doing, pup? What are you doing? You want to play ball, do you? You do want to play ball, don't you? You always want to play ball. All day long. Even though you've been playing ball all afternoon. So, I'm actually going to go to bed now instead, to be honest. And then wire brush the rest of the car and everything else again tomorrow. So it's paint time. As you can see, I've already started. By that I mean I've done the whole rest of the car, bar this section again. So, we've got the chassis in one out by Buzzweld. Now, what I'm going to notice is so far, it's very thick. Very thick. So if you plan on spraying it, you're going to want to probably use like at least a 1.8mm nozzle, potentially thin it down a bit as well. But at the same time, it's not in the tin. I gave it a stir up anyway, but it hadn't seemed to have settled. All quite nice. If you paint this on with paintbrushes or rollers, you're obviously going to want to be using disposable ones because screws trying to wash them afterwards. So it's very thick. It covers really well, obviously on all your dull surfaces. If you put it on a shiny surface, non-keyed, it's going to pull itself back off again because it's not designed for that. So it adheres to all the rust and that absolutely beautifully. I'm now fed up painting, but it is thick as anything. Obviously if you're applying it by brush or on any kind of rust, to be honest, which you obviously probably will be if you're using this stuff, you want to really work it in, especially if you've got any like little dimples and dents. So work it on. If anything, more is better with this stuff because you want to get it in them gaps. You don't want to spend half an hour going back and forth and miss little spots, and that will rust through in the future. So just keep whacking it on. Make a mess, why not? That's what I've been doing. Hence why I kept the workshop a mess, because any paint that falls down will fall straight onto the floor and it'll go. Obviously here where I'm putting it over the grommets and that, not cutting around them, it's not going to stick to that, but that doesn't matter. What we need it to stick to is the rust. That's where we want our protection, and that's where this paint is different to most paints. So I'm going to work it in a minute, do that around here. So you do it around the inner edge of the arch here. Obviously this here I will need to paint properly, body colour, but this stuff kind of acts like a primer. It's overpaintable, so I can overpaint this with normal 2K paints, which is good. So it doesn't matter that I'm using it on here because I can overpaint it afterwards. So I'm going to crack on, get this finished off a minute, and then that's coat number 1 done. There we go, one good heavy coat around it, and now obviously make sure you get the brush nicely up in behind this lip once you obviously cleaned it out all the way around, and put a good heavy coat in behind there as well. So that's that done. Obviously I've done front suspension, subframe, all the way around. Ugh. Gearbox one, just tidy it up, and then along the chassis rails and the seals as well, where I can access for now. Not going to do the running boards. I might actually end up doing on a second coat a little bit of them, but I'm not going to look to protect them properly because without taking them off sandblasted and doing it properly, it's not worth it. In a few years' time, they'll just need replacing. Simple as that. But yeah, that's a fair bit done. So you still need a second coat, which also I'll be doing off camera because I'm not going to bore you guys with that. But that is now a lot of tidying up done. Other than that still. But this is mostly, you can't see this when you buy a car. This isn't visible. But it dries to a really nice finish, this stuff does. I really like the finish it dries to. Proper OEM look. So I'm hoping it's as durable as it looks and as it sounds. So once I've got my second coat on this, then I'll be looking into the obviously applying the Lanocare, which is not going to be applied sparingly. It is going to be absolutely lagged over everything I possibly can do and in everything I can do in this car, just as a good old layer of protection. Well, finally we're on to the part which I've been most looking forward to, and that's the Lanocare. Why? Because we've almost finished rust treating and we're now on to the easy stages. So I don't even want to think about the hours so far put into this between the car and the rear subframe. It's the more you dive into things, the further you go, and then the more you've got to do, and just, yeah. I've hopefully done it properly. Spent a lot of time doing it. My hands are still numb from the countless hours I use with a needle scaler. Probably should use gloves or maybe develop something that's a lot less finger destroying, but oh well. It's been really effective. Highly recommend them. So, we're obviously now on to Lanocare, which, yeah, I'm hoping does as good of a job that it says on the tin. Actually, to be fair, I really expect it should do. So obviously now I've already been over the car now, I'll show you in a second, but we've done the whole Buzzweld chassis in one treatment. Obviously the other, most of you are probably going to be applying this straight to existing paints, under seals, corrosion, all that. So what you must do is you must make sure that whatever you apply it to is sound. So sound is clean, ideally sort of grease free, but not so important with this because you're basically applying a greasy wax product anyway. And anything that's any loose dirt, corrosion needs to be cleaned off to the best of your ability, really. The more sound surface you put on it, the more chance you've got of this being effective. That applies to any kind of treatment product. If you put a product on something which is dirty, loose, it's not going to work. These aren't miracle products. It's not a miracle in a tin. It's a genuine product that, providing you do the prep right, it should do what it says on the tin. So, the Lanocare, we can apply it with a little applicator. I know these are really effective. If it's a bit cold out, we can put this in some warm water and warm the bottle up, and that will help this process. I'm not going to bother because I'm in a workshop and I've got my airline. I've got a lot of area to cover, but I think these are fantastic for sort of driveway or little top-ups, or if you just do a bit of work on a car and you want to top up a certain area, change a part. Fantastic. Rather than mess around with the air tools and cleaning all that and that takes seconds. So, really handy for the majority of people and users. And of course we've got the Lano grease, the LG40. Now this is going to be putting around bolts, bushes, things there where dirt could sit, where you want that extra level of protection. Somewhere I thought which would be really handy to put it in is around the brake lines, or more the brake unions and like flexi joints and that. Because corrosion, stuff sits there, it gets corroded up, it's always a pain. That's the perfect kind of product to put over them areas. Now you should apply the grease before you apply the actual main product itself. Both can be warmed up to thins down, both can also have white spirits put in them to thin them down, and it's recommended that you clean any tools afterwards with either warm water, white spirits, that kind of process really. We're going to use a shotgun for application, just for simplicity and speed, and the other main thing is shotguns tend to come with this. Now these are designed for injecting the product into cavities, so the seals, tight to get areas, places you can't normally access. Obviously you're not guaranteed to get a miracle in these areas. You can't clean inside there, so any already loose corrosion, that kind of stuff, dirt, you can't do much about it short of put the airline in there and try and blast it out to clean it as best as possible. So although it's not going to be as effective as where we're applying it on the surface, it's still a lot better than nothing. But again, don't be expecting a miracle. The only way of treating rust is to get rid of it. And the only way to get rid of it is to gain access to it and fully strip it off chemically or sandblast it. And if you can't get to all your areas, you can't get rid of it. So, yeah, don't be expecting any miracles from most of these products because you're going to be severely disappointed. But the aim is we're going to prevent corrosion, spreading, slow it down, sort of try and seal it in really and get control of it, because I'm in England and specifically Cornwall, and corrosion just that's part of everyday life. If you can live in some sunny place where corrosion doesn't happen, then you won't be watching this video anyway. So yeah, alright, let's crack on. I'm going to put the product straight in the shotgun. I'm not going to worry about thinning it because I don't really need to thin it because I've got a shotgun, so it's not going to matter. This gun in particular from Buzzweld, I actually quite like it, for a couple of reasons. One, it's reasonably priced. Two, it comes with a stubby shuts tin, and you can actually buy more of these, which I will be doing because it's handy, rather than try and reuse old understeer ones. Two, I'm yet to find out if you can buy this part separately, but it pops off, so even when this is knackered or you want to chuck it in the bin, you're still left with quite a nice air blower, which is pretty cool. Let's just pop it back in. And 3, the adjustment on the end of this nozzle is actually really good. Really good. I'm well happy with it. As you can see, I've used this already to apply the chassis M1 in certain areas, and I would highly recommend that. Because without this gun, I wouldn't have been able to get into a lot of these areas. I didn't think about using it until I'd done the rear subframe, which I'll show you in a second. But actually, without using this, I wouldn't have got into a lot of them areas, because a normal spray gun doesn't project that far, and it's too bulky, whereas this projects at a long distance. Obviously it doesn't atomise the paint as much, so you don't get that same finish, but when you're applying it to something that gets pitted anyway, you're not looking for a perfect finish because it's pitted, and you're not going to see it. So yeah, I'm going to load this product up now into shotgun, and we'll go on and do some application. So the product almost comes out like caramel. It's pretty cool. You can kind of see something on the side there. Give it a good shake first. This is the rear subframe, looking a billion times better than it did. So much better than it was. Again, as I think I might have previously said in this video, I intend to keep an eye out for a better one. And I won't be coating this yet until I've put it in the car, so I can, when I remove these D-shackles, I can get the paint in around that first before applying the Lanocare. But it's now looking pretty sweet, and I know this was sound anyway, but I now know it's good for a long time. And with all these little holes here and gaps, we'll be injecting the Lanocare into all these areas. So perfect. So dog, I think she lost her ball underneath there. It seems to be a common theme of videos now, isn't it? We spend fine time in the ball, don't we, Mia? Yeah? Where's Ball gone? Where's Ball? What have you done with it? Silly. Where's Ball? Oh, it's under there. You do this constantly. Oh, now I've lost it. Workshop time seems to be ball time, apparently. Actually, all day long is ball time. Isn't it, Mrs.? So, yeah, that's looking great. Under the car, ouch, is also looking fantastic. So we'll be paying particular attention in these rear cross members, applying the grease around the brake unions once I've actually changed them. Not until I've changed flexies. We'll begin pumping it in to any point of the chassis rails we can, any point of the sills we can. Absolutely going to town, really. I need to wipe off some of this dust first. So, yeah, just everywhere we possibly can, we'll try and apply it. Now, they recommend for the first coat 2 good coats, and I'll definitely be applying 2 good coats to this, without a doubt. So let's wipe it off a minute, blow it off, and get applying. So there we go. Now this product can be applied over basically anything. So keen-eyed ones of you will realise that I forgot to wipe the dust off that bit there. Organising for videos is hard. And that is first application on. So obviously now it looks all wet and very slick. And what it'll do is over the next 24 hours it'll dry off to a satin finish, but it takes around 7 days in total to cure. I did actually just try another product as well. Well, I'm not going to mention because I'm just testing it. It's the same sort of stuff, but Lanocare was actually nicer to use, definitely nicer to use. Thicker consistency, and just went on better. This other stuff drips a lot more. Now, one quick tip. So this is quite a thin product-ish. Using the Schutz gun, this airline I'm using is unregulated, which is annoying, and I'm going to do something about that, because it means I can only spray it about 100 psi, which, okay, not ideal, but because it shifts so much of it, you get so much more in the air, I turn on the fan and actually put on a mask. Now, I know I should have a mask on to start with, but this stuff, the whole workshop now stinks of sheep. heavily like sheep, because obviously this is it's from sheep's wool. But it made me urge. I almost threw up. I had to put on a mask because of the amount of it in the air. So yeah, just a note. But obviously if you're doing it outside, the smell of sheep isn't going to matter, and I'm sure once it's cured off it won't be a problem anyway. But yeah, so now I'm going to give it 24 hours before I then do the next coat, just because it's a bit wet at the minute. This stuff you can sort of top up as and when you want, it doesn't matter. And obviously just a quick note, which I didn't mention before, it is pretty self-explanatory though, don't put it on your brakes. So it should not go on brake discs, drums, calipers, that sort of thing. If you do get it on there, just clean it off with a degreaser, white spirit, thinner, something like that, just to get rid of it. Right, I'm going to apply a second coat and probably get that subframe back up in, and I'll see you guys once we've done the second coat and we're looking at really the final result. And here it is, all trays, shields, everything back on again. Looking very tidy. Hoping you guys can see that. I painted the shields all down this side black in the same chassis in one, just because, why not, you know. Oh, this isn't doing any justice. Let me get another torch a second. It's rather hard to record black in a dark workshop. Looking brand new fixings, of course, why not? So I think overall here I've exceeded my own expectations. Obviously I'm not expecting a new car, it's not. It's been an unbelievable amount of work to get this far. Too much work, but it was worth doing, because now it's looking good. It's even got a back box back on again now. Wasn't planning on doing that, but oh well, done it. So yeah, back to where we started. Where we started, like, I think it might have been 6 weeks ago now. It's just been dragging on, and it's been a lot of work. A lot of work. I didn't really budget for that much time, and with everything else going on as well, and the extent I had to do it all, it took a long time. But I'm well happy. That's definitely more and better than I was expecting to do. The Buzzweld chassis in one, I'm hoping it works like it says it does. I put in what I'm assuming is more than adequate enough prep for it. But yeah, price-wise, I think it's an excellent price, especially compared to other competitive paints on the market, a similar sort of thing. Application-wise, it covers extremely well. It sprays well in a shuts gun, sprays well in a spray gun, and goes on really nice with a brush. It dries well, rather quick, and the finish it leaves, really nice sort of satiny black matte finish. I love the finish with it, actually, really nice finish. So yeah, so far I'm extremely happy with that paint. Price-wise, application and finish ticks all the boxes. Only time's going to tell if it does what it says on the tin, and that's the main reason I've used it. So we'll see. And then as for the Lanocare, also extremely happy. Didn't get around to using the grease yet. I noticed that currently these temperatures now are around about 12 degrees. It's solid in the tin. Obviously I can warm it up to make it thinner to apply, but that's going to be really useful in the future. As for the actual product itself, really happy. So I tried 2 products on it. I'm not going to mention the other one. The other one was cheaper, but it was in trial stages. And the Lanocare definitely applies nicer, doesn't run in drip half as much as the other product does, and just leaves a really nice finish really quickly. So definitely very happy with Lanocare, and I'll be using that a lot more in the future. Say, with all my Range Rover classics, this thing, the Capri, the Golf, some future projects down there as well. Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of use for that. And so far, again, I'm hoping it sort of withstands what I've done. I put 4 litres-ish of chassis in one on, and around about 3 litres, potentially 3.5 litres worth of Lano products on. Layered it on nicely. Only time's going to tell. I will do an update video in the future to see how well this worked. But so far, I'm extremely happy with both products. So massive shout out and thank you to Alistair at Lanocare. So he provided the Lano products free of charge for this video, which is just incredible. So really appreciative. I hadn't previously tried any Lano products, and now I'm, yeah, very sold on them so far. So thank you very much. I definitely recommend go in and get some Lanocare for your projects. I'll put a link down in the description for that one. And yeah, obviously this is one of 5 videos that have been filmed during this long period on the ramp. So why not check out the others? There's videos on me refurbishing the brake calipers, videos on me bleeding, there's the rush treatment, there's the prop shaft bearing video, and the rear subframe removal and installation video. So yeah, plus the previous like 20 videos on this, from anything from tuning to testing the inventory and just all sorts. So why not jump back on my channel, have a look at all the other videos and content I've done. Seems to have done quite well, so far people happy. If you are happy, drop me a comment, tell me what you think. If you're sad, well, we should probably part ways right now, shouldn't we? You're probably not watching by now anyway if you don't like the content, so it's not going to matter really, is it? Like the video if you do like it, because it really helps the channel or the YouTube algorithm. And subscribe for plenty more. I've been Jordan, and with any luck, I'll see you again next time. Cheers!